I entered politics because I saw it as a continuation of public service. And I have, over the years, found my calling in public service. It wasn't the case when I started out to work, to be fair. When I started working, I was an economist in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I had been rejected by the Public Service Commission to be in the administrative service, so I wasn't involved in a lot of policy work. My work was largely around economic analysis. Right? I would be the quant, so to speak, or the guy doing all the analytical work. Somebody has an issue, you want to analyze what happens to the economy under these circumstances. There's a regional financial crisis. What's going to happen to Singapore? Well, you ask me the question, I will run my models, I will do the technical number crunching, and I will give you the output. That was a lot of the work that I was involved in at the start of my career. And when I was looking at myself, I was looking at friends around me and other schoolmates and peers. I figured, look, I can do economics work in the government. I can do exactly the same kind of economics work in the private sector too, and they are paying better. So the thought did cross my mind, maybe I should just leave and join a private sector, maybe a bank. But at that time, I also had very good bosses in the civil service. Khaw Boon Wan happened to be my first permanent secretary in MTI, and then Lim Siong Guan in finance. And they persuaded me to stay on. And they said, look, if you go, you are only involved in doing economics work now, but if you stay on, you may get exposure to other kinds of work, doing policy work. And you will find the work more meaningful and more interesting. So I took their advice, I stayed on. And indeed, it was the case, because after a while, I got involved in working in budgets, I got involved in working in policy work, I got involved in even going out into the community to explain budget initiatives. And I found all of that very meaningful, because that's the kind of work I wouldn't have been able to do in the private sector. So I decided I don't have to leave. In fact, I didn't want to leave, I stayed on. And each time, as I stayed on in the public service, each responsibility I got became progressively larger and larger. The work never shrinks, the work just gets bigger and bigger. And when in 2011, when Prime Minister Lee invited me to enter politics, I said, look, this is my calling. I've decided that being in public service is what I would like to do. And so I saw entering politics as a continuation of that. And that's why I've been in politics since then.